welcome back. As I mentioned, we have Lenny Ross here, who is the president of the United Mutual Board. Welcome. Nice to see you.
It's good to see you too.
We were just chatting a little bit about your town hall meetings, which seem to be working pretty well, and we'll get to that in just a little bit. But in any case, you had a meeting last week, and you're here to let us know what happened.
Okay. Thank you, and it's always good to see you all out in Channel 6 land, and welcome to everyone who's watching. So first thing that we did was we recognized the passing of one of our board members. He worked on GRF and United. His name was Don Tibbetts. He served for over 20 years on our boards.
Yeah.
Quite a long time, including as United first vice president, second vice president, and treasurer, and was chair of the Golden Rain Foundation Mobility and Vehicles, Security and Access Committees. He will sorely be missed, and he was a great leader of our community, and we do miss him. So,
yeah, it's been a big loss for a lot of people, so
yes.
That was nice that you did that.
Yeah, and the second item was we approved a supplemental appropriation for damage restoration to catch up with case backlogs. We're backlogged in this particular area. So in order to catch up, we have to hire some additional staff. They'll be working on weekends.
Okay.
And it'll cost us approximately $160,000 to hire the staff. But the estimate is that we'll receive back around $1.5 million as a result of this, and it'll take about 6 months to get caught up.
Right.
But it's something that we need to do to get caught up.
Exactly.
So we're working on that.
Fantastic.
And then next item is 2 announcements by our CEO to make us a little more efficient operation. We have just purchased 2 buses. The cost estimate was $35,000 less than the 18 to 22 passenger buses used on some routes. They get 19 miles per gallon compared to the 10 miles per gallon for the current buses. They generate about $6,000 to $7,000 in annual fuel savings, or $42,000 to $49,000 for 7-year life of each vehicle. So you'll be seeing them running around the community. They're much smaller, much more efficient buses. And the second item that she announced was that we'll receive a rebate for our new weather track irrigation system of $350,000.
Yep.
So that's pretty sizable rebate.
Yeah, and we were warning the residents that that's what they're doing, is they're installing it now. Everything is going all over the place, which is great, and that is an amazing savings, isn't it?
That's good. It's really going to be helpful. The next item is, if I could flip the page. Okay. One of the things that we're working on, and this is actually we're doing this in conjunction with Third as well, but when remodels take place in our community, we figured it's a good opportunity for the remodeler, for us, to give a credit to the owner in lieu of them doing things for our properties that we would normally have to take care of when they do the remodel. I'll give you an example. Like when we remodel, sometimes the remodeler updates the pipes and puts in new pipes. Now, we would normally have to be responsible for that as an HOA every so often to take care of our pipes. So we're studying the idea of offering a rebate at the time of remodel, which would make it a little more efficient instead of us having to take care of all the manners when their pipes go bad. And so that way we could update our manners accordingly to when they're updated or when they're remodeled.
Okay.
And so we're studying that idea, and it might become a good idea for our whole community, and we're evaluating that now.
So when you say you're studying it, does that mean you're actually putting it in place and to see how it goes, so you're testing it?
No, actually,
Okay.
maintenance and construction is coming up with a plan.
Okay.
And they'll be presenting it to our boards.
Okay.
And we'll be evaluating it and see if it makes sense.
Okay.
And if it does, if the boards agree, we'll go ahead and implement it.
Perfect.
So that's
Okay.
the plan.
Fantastic.
And then our United Ad Hoc Investment Committee is interviewing institutional financial advisors who will best meet our investment policy, which they came up with, which emphasizes safety over liquidity and return. The committee will likely recommend the best financial advisor at our June board meeting. And we're meeting with very, very big institutional investors like Chase Bank and Co-America, Bank of America.
Right.
So big name institutions that have a lot of experience with working with HOAs.
Great.
And we're going to be selecting the best of the best. And they'll be working with United as we move forward.
Now, how many different financial advisors are you meeting with?
We're meeting with 6.
6.
Yeah,
Okay, great. I
6,
mean, they all
yeah.
have different experiences, right? And when you say safety, isn't that the key right now?
Safety
and
is
the
the
fact
key.
that you're talking to some of the main banks versus maybe a regional bank, because I know there's some scare out there about regional banks right now.
Yes,
So,
yes.
Okay, good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, we're talking to the larger banks, which are generally the safer banks.
Usually,
Yeah.
yes.
And we're continuing to prepare legally reviewed documents for private investors to provide loans to our members. And what's important is that the funds that we get will be supplied from private investors. They won't be using any of our reserves. So there was a misconception that that was the case, but it's not. This is private money coming from private sources. And we're now evaluating this program to see if we could implement it. And we're very close to doing that. Probably within the next month, we'll be proposing it to our board and then implementing a plan.
And what would you be using those loans for?
Oh, the loans would be for purchasing properties in United.
Oh, I see.
Right now, nobody is able to borrow money for United
Oh, I see.
properties
Okay.
because of the insurance coverage.
Right.
It's not sufficient.
Gotcha.
And to warrant Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac loans. So in order to overcome that, we had to go to private loans.
Okay.
And so that's, and right now, United members have no way of refinancing their properties.
Ah.
So if they have health bills, they need to pull out money from their properties, they can't do that.
Can't do that,
So
yeah.
we're coming up with a way that could possibly help them do that.
Okay,
So
very good.
that should be very helpful to a lot of members. And next item is at our May town hall, speaking of town halls, most of the United Committee's chairs provided some of the key accomplishments and some of the current projects that they're working on. At our June town hall, we're providing to review reasons for increased property insurance, which have significantly increased because of all the fires in California
Right.
and elsewhere, and explain what our board is doing to try to minimize that increase. Because right now it costs us over $3 million a year for United for property insurance, and we have no claims. And yet we're paying $3 million a year.
Right.
So we're looking at ways to try to reduce that.
Okay.
And finally, the last item is the Spring Real Estate Forum, which was held Wednesday, May 3rd. We had a very large crowd of 120 attending. The community service staff discussed with realtors about resales, resale inspections, alterations and damage restoration process, and insurance. And it was a well-attended meeting, and I think they're going to have another meeting, a follow-up meeting in July about the
Okay,
same
good.
subjects.
So let's talk a little bit about the meetings versus the town halls. So you and I were talking off camera that the town halls really are getting a lot of people coming. So what do you think the difference is? Why don't people maybe want to come to the board meetings instead? They would rather go to the town halls.
I think it's a matter of convenience, and I think also the town halls are a little later in the afternoon. They're on a Friday, and it's from 2 to 4.
Right.
And it's a little easier maybe to get to the town halls at our clubhouse, at our Performing Arts Center where we have it. And we have it every month.
Right.
And maybe the open meetings, which start at 9:30 in the morning on a Tuesday, and maybe people
are
are still
having coffee.
sleeping. Yeah, or still sleeping, you know. So, and they could watch those on TV. They're all televised.
Right.
But when we welcome people to either
Right.
our town halls and our meetings.
Okay.
But I'm not sure why we don't get more people at our regular meetings.
Right.
But I wish we did.
Yeah.
But I know that people are out there watching.
Well, one thing that I think is important that you said earlier is about the town halls is that it's a little more generalized. Well, not necessarily general in the way that everybody's meeting, and maybe less formal, right? And you have specific subject matters that you're talking about each time, rather than an agenda.
Yes.
So, and then at the town halls, are people allowed to ask questions at that time too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and those are about the subjects generally are subjects that people have a lot of interest in,
Right.
like repairs.
Yes.
What happens, what kind of repairs can you make at your expense, at the HOA expense? There are costs of insurance. There are things that affect people every day,
Yeah.
and they're very pressing issues. So that's why I think town halls, if we cover them well in advance to let people know about them, they're going to be very well attended, because
Yeah.
they're things that they really care about.
Right, and of course, the next one that's coming up, which is in June,
June.
is always a big one, is the insurance costs. Because
Insurance.
like you said, the premiums that we're paying is for other areas, because there's really, I mean, there's a slight fire danger around here, but then
Right.
you have to argue with the insurance companies, like, well,
Right.
why are we having to pay so much?
Right,
So
absolutely.
I know you have an uphill battle on that one, so
Yeah,
thank you for
yeah.
working on that. And thank you for the information.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. If you want any information about what we have just discussed, you can always send an email to generalmanager@vmsinc.org, and we will send it off to the appropriate person on the United Board. We'll be right back.